Hi, girly.
Hi, girly.
I'm Eliana,
I'm Derek.
and this is
For
For
the
the
girlies.
Girlies.
On today's episode, we're diving into the first 20 chapters of Keeping 13 by Chloe Walsh. But before we get into the episode,
Please make sure that you like, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel. And as always, be kind in the comments and be aware there will be spoilers.
yes, ma'am. Also, make sure you have those post notifications on and you are following us on all of the socials. Thank you.
Okay, jumping right in. So, we first have to talk about all of the chaos that was going on in the first
Lord.
20 chapters of this book.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, this entire family is in chaos, okay? Shannon's father beats her really badly. Joey makes the mother choose, is it him or us? And
I
she,
mean, Shannon is laying on the ground, can't do anything, and is only thinking nothing is ever going to change. This is always the same old cycle. And all I could think of was, I can't imagine ever doing that to my children.
hmm
Have like all five of them there. One of them is
witnessing,
bleed. Yeah, one of them is bleeding out. The other one is getting beat up by their dad as well. I'm getting beat up.
and they're
It's
saying,
crazy.
"Mommy, choose." Like
Yeah.
the fact that you
Help
even have to say,
us.
yeah, the fact that they even have to say that would, break me.
Yeah.
They feel like there's a choice to be made.
And I honestly might not be the nicest thing, but I kept hoping and wishing that when Tig put that knife against his father's throat, I kept wishing he would just
Do it.
slice it.
Mm, that's so sad. That's more chaos. Poor little Tyke pulled the knife out on his father.
Right.
Like, girl, it's horrific, 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 horrific chaos, chaotic. Um, yeah, I just remember in that moment just feeling so frozen and just yeah, I don't even know. I don't know. Like you said, I can't imagine putting myself in that position or what I would do in those positions.
There was one thing that their dad said that I knew he was sick in the head,
Mm.
but also just saying something like, I told your mother about you, but she wouldn't hear it. I knew though. Even when
Mm.
you were small, I knew what kind you were. An effing runt. Do you know how sick in the head you have to be to say that to a child, to your child?
Mm-hmm.
What like what is the purpose of that other than keeping control and a hold on someone? Oh,
So Shannon is in the hospital,
yeah.
and there's Darren's return, the the eldest brother,
Mhm.
and Joey and Darren are fighting in the hospital, um, because
Yeah.
Darren wants them to kind of lie about the circumstances that led to them being here, to protect their mother, to keep them together, and like Joey's just not having it.
Yeah, he's fed up.
Yeah.
But part of him being fed up is that Darren is trying to Shannon has just woken up. So Darren is trying to explain to her what's going on, what has happened since she's been out comatose since Saturday and it was now Tuesday. And Joey keeps having outbursts, which is not helping her because it's only causing her more stress.
Yeah.
He Darren explains the medical kind of explains the medical terms for what it is that she has or had been through. And Joey's like, they put a tube in you. Honey,
Yeah.
I don't think this
Like
is how we treat someone
who's
who's
just
just,
walking up from a
yeah.
coma. Yeah.
That's it's a little much.
Reel it in, pops. But
Part of that
this
is,
this behavior
yeah.
is understandable in a way. Well, not understandable. This behavior is explained because we find out that Joey is on the drugs. Um, we don't know what drugs, but he is abusing drugs, self soothing, and it's just chaotic. Okay, so along with all the chaos, we definitely had some questions. Okay, one of my questions, going off of what you said a little bit earlier about the way Teddy talks and treats Shannon, I just kept questioning: is this your child? Why do you treat her so bad? Is it because she's the girl? Like, I just don't know.
It's a valid question to have. I also was wondering how could their mother waffle about her children's safety?
Mm,
Like I understand that people do that about their own safety,
safety,
but
yeah,
like a child, your child, and multiple children, I there was
beyond me,
some
yeah.
yeah, there was something so confusing for me about that. Another question I had was about when is it enough in terms of giving out our empathy.
Mm-hmm.
So Darren kept asking his siblings, a mom has been through so much. You need to care about mom. You need to consider mom. She's not who you are thinking that she is because you're really upset. But I see them as these mason jars, and as their emotions are these mason jars, and their mason jars are full. They are to the brim. They are overflowing at this point, and you're asking them to help their mother's mason jar. I can't. I have to worry about my own, and I can't. I I have so much anger because of things that she's done, and their dad, of course. No one's saying that she's the one
Everything's
that
on her, right?
yeah, but
Mm-hmm.
I have so much built up anger inside that it is so hard for me to look at her first and feel bad for her before I have to deal with everything that I'm suffocating, that I'm drowning in.
Yeah, it's that's like it's a hard ask of children
Yeah.
who are hard ask of children, period, but definitely a hard ask for children in that situation
Mhm.
too.
Mhm. But it upsets me also because I do understand what Darren is saying.
Absolutely removed from it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get what he's saying. It's just and I have been in situations where I keep wanting to have empathy for people, but like I've also been in a situation where I'm like I am at my limit
At
and I
what
feel
cost to
bad
me? Yeah.
and I feel bad that I'm at my limit.
Another question that kept coming up uh is, do you sacrifice the safety of the kids because of what happened to Darren? Darren, suffered from abuse as a child in the foster care system. So that's a lot of their like fight to stay. The reason why this has happened for so long is because they're like, we don't want to break up and we don't want to go back, us to go back into the foster care system, excuse me, because of what happened to Darren.
Mhm.
Okay, like I get it, but
Yeah.
what's happening here is also really not okay.
Yeah. We're not doing anything. If we're not doing anything to fix this situation here, then how can we say that the other fix is not the viable option? Next, a question that came up was the kids shamed Darren for leaving, but at the same time, this was also their only way out as well,
Mm,
is leaving. Were they wrong for shaming Darren? For feeling like you're an outsider. You don't have anything to do with us. And was Darren wrong for leaving?
I think both know, right?
Yeah. I mean, like, Shannon at some point says we were all shackled to this house, like a great oak to its roots. There was no escaping this, not until we all came of age and got out. She said this in like chapter one, but when it came time to face Darren, then
That
she
idea was,
gone.
yeah.
She's like, "What do you mean? I need to accept you back in here. We're supposed to." It's kind of like if you're not attached to this house, like she was saying, like a great oak to its roots,
Hmm.
then you're just not part of my family.
Yeah, that's literally what it is. People, it was like they had that trauma bond,
Mm,
and he didn't experience that. We see that, like I've experienced that, not in nowhere near this capacity, but like with family, like, oh, you grew up this way, you didn't grow up like that, so you don't get it, and like
mm-hmm.
you're treated differently, and it's like,
Mm-hmm.
you don't know, You don't know my story. I don't know your story all the way. Like, relax.
Right, but who? It's also that who told you that I don't love you?
That part. Who says that I'm judging you?
Yeah,
He's there for you. He love y'all.
right.
He showed up now. He's also was a child himself.
Yeah. And then there's also the moment where Joey is again, Darren is trying to explain to her what happened to her over the
Mm-hmm.
weekend. And he says, "You were brought here on Saturday." And Joey's like, "Yeah, by me. She was
Relax.
brought in here by me. Where the F were you, golden boy?" Again, to the point of like, you're not family. You don't have anything to do
Yeah,
with this.
othered. Yeah.
And it's like he's just explaining what happened to her. Obviously, Joey is high as a
He
kite.
on drugs.
Yeah. But why are we like you're fighting over getting credit?
Is this something we need to get credit over?
But also you want help, no? Darren's here. He's helping. Let him help you.
Sometimes you just be too mad to even accept the help.
Right? You be saying, "I need help," and then
They're
somebody
like, all
helps you,
right,
you're
here
like,
go my hand. You just gonna hand me your hand? I look like I need help. It's like
that's like the Tyler the Creator video where he's like
you just
your
gonna bring a birthday
birthday
gift
gift
to
to
my
my
birthday
birthday
party
party.
on my birthday. Happy birthday. That's
That's
what.
also why they say that you can't help someone who doesn't want to be helped.
Mm-hmm. It's my favorite saying that the old people say. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't force it to drink. And I said, yeah.
Yeah.
You right, Granny. With that being said, with all of the arguing and all that with the
Hmm.
kids, do you think that Marie encouraged Darren to stay away?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely. I think she said, "Get out of here. You're going to school. Don't ever come back. Call me wherever you get to where it is that you're going and
Hmm.
update me." That's it.
Yeah. I also don't think she realized how it would affect her
Yeah.
because he was her crutch. He was her blanket, her safety blanket,
Yeah. And he's, Darren says she was 14 when she was pregnant with me, 15 when she gave birth. That's like giving birth to a sibling.
for sure. I
You're,
I have more age between me and three of my siblings, so yes.
it's like giving birth to a sibling. And like you said, she didn't know what it was going to be like to sacrifice her time with him. And that's also really huge to be
Hmm.
like, I'm going to let my son go. And I'm going to let my son go with the idea that I'm never going to see him again.
Hmm. The only way he's gonna thrive. It's really sad.
That makes my heart hurt.
No, for sure it is. It's
But with all of that, is what Marie does enough for the kids? I mean, she's working, she's putting food on the table, she's
hmm
paying for that place it is that they live in, 95 Elk Terrace. Their dad's definitely not doing anything
hmm
to keep them all alive. But she's also going into depressive episodes, holed up in her room, on the kitchen table, crying, doubled over. Is what she does enough?
It's hard to say no and hard to say yes.
Yeah.
Because to me, I just can't. Like I acknowledge the fact that you are battered,
Hmm.
but at the same time, you are a mother
But are you? I don't know. Like you're then a battered mother, and I don't know. I don't know that you could be a good mom if
if
you're.
you're battered. I agree,
Yeah.
but I do. I don't know. I don't have children. I have cats, and I
Or.
just I would assume the mothers
Hmm.
that I know,
Hmm.
um, I feel no matter the I know not even I feel the mothers that I know, the circumstances that they are in or have ever been in their life, whatever hardships have ever come their way,
Hmm.
they've never let that overpower their mothering.
Hmm.
Um, They didn't put situations before their children, or you know what I mean. So that's why it's hard for me to like. That's why it's hard for me to um yeah, to really to give you to have a clear thought on this one, to say yes or no. I just don't. Yeah.
I also do not have children. I'm not in that situation. Never been
You
in
don't
that
have cats either.
situation. No, I don't have cats. Um but it really does suck for me to ask of someone who's in that situation if they're doing enough.
Mhm.
I don't know. I feel guilty, and yet I also feel resentful. I'm not one of her children, but I feel
It's
resentful.
exactly that. Yeah.
Like, how could you let this keep happening? How could, even in the moments where your sense of reality does come back, how do you not panic and go,
What
wait
is
a
going
minute,
on? Yeah, yeah.
this
What have I allowed?
cannot keep happening?
That's the whole point for me. Yeah. That whole entire part. That's what I can't get over. I acknowledge that you are also in a state,
Hmm.
but I don't. I can't let it excuse what you allow to happen too.
In addition to chaos, questions, we also had a lot of mixed feelings. I think,
Mhm.
as you can see throughout this
Yeah.
episode. So, I had my mixed feelings were really about Darren, Joey, and Marie.
Mhm.
I could not understand how Joey could. I mean, he was on drugs, but he's in that hospital, and the way that he's arguing with Darren is as if he has rights to be the person in charge because he has been the person in charge for so long.
Yeah.
Okay, but also, you are not aware that you would be of no help to Shannon right now in this moment, evidenced by your behavior right now.
Yeah.
You have no. It, he doesn't even come up with an idea for Darren. He's saying it's so bad, you're making us lie, how could you make us lie? But then you also don't say, yes, we should definitely have everybody go into foster care. Then you're not helping anybody in this situation, buddy.
Yeah.
He was like competing with Darren for him, and Shannon were competing with Darren to see who was the most abused of all of
Mhm.
them. And I just don't believe that because you are the most emotional, it makes you the most right in this situation.
Yeah.
Um, Not that Darren was completely correct either, because boy was he he was gone for 5 years, had no contact with anyone. That's a lot for children to just be abandoned at the end of the day, even though you were 18 years old and they don't seem to understand that you had to leave. There was what is an 18-year-old kid gonna do in a house like that?
Gonna end up like Joey on drugs because
Um,
you just can't fathom, the responsibility or the burden that's on you that you've taken on.
yeah. But he does come back around and he does stick around
Mhm.
for them to help them when he was finally okay enough. And when you consider the fact that they keep saying you were gone for 5.5 years, you were gone for 5.5 years, and he says, I was at school for 4 years and I was living in Belfast. I don't know, is that how you say it? I was living in Belfast for a year.
That's just he went to college.
He was 22, 23 years old. That's not a grown person. That's not someone who's like lived a whole life.
Right.
And you can't even tell me that he's healed from the childhood that he had. There's no way that he's healed from any of that. Um, so I definitely have mixed feelings about him. And then there comes Marie. There's a moment where Darren says, did you ever consider that she was there against her will, having children against her will, being sexually assaulted and
Mhm.
beaten and mentally abused to the point where she lost touch with reality? She was 15 when she gave birth to me, 14 when she was pregnant. Yeah, I don't want to judge this lady.
Yeah.
Although I resent her, I also don't want to judge her either. And that's hard to come to terms with
That's
when
hard
it,
for you to come to, you know what
yeah,
I mean,
reader.
as the reader, as someone not part of this family.
Mm-hmm.
So imagine.
Them.
Exactly.
Right.
My mixed feelings, I agree. I definitely had mixed feelings with these characters, but I also had a lot of mixed feelings with the parents in general in this story. That's why in our last episode I kept referring to it as like a teen drama that we would have watched growing up. Oh no. And a big part of that is, where are the parents?
Yeah.
Why are these children left alone all the time?
They're just not there.
I don't even mean for, I'm saying this in a sort of, comical like connotation, but I'm dead serious. Why are these children left alone? Um, Johnny is responsible, and he's rigid and he's hyper independent. Um, but he's this way, and you felt like he's this way because you left him alone. Like, he had to be. He's an only child, but like, why did you think it was okay to leave your child alone? And they're like, oh, I have business here and I'm gonna go, and they're gone for months and weeks, and he's just by himself in this house, and he hates where he lives for a long period of time. It's baffling to me. Another part was that really got to me was, in Binding 13, his mother, Johnny's mother, goes off on him, or she not go off, but she had like a breakdown when she realizes that
Yeah.
he's sexually active, and it's like, what do you think's gonna happen? You leave a handsome teenage boy with raging hormones alone
Mm-hmm.
in a house with
You leave a
act
13-year-old.
truly, yeah, he was very young.
Nothing responsible can happen with a 13-year-old involved.
They don't got no type of what's the word I'm looking for? Discernment.
No. No.
What are we talking about? You don't you gotta parent your children to the end. He didn't tell you about, like, all of that is concerning. The fact that he didn't tell them about his injury, he like, sneaking girls in the house. Obviously, he's not gonna tell his parents that, but like, he wouldn't be able to do all of that
If you
if you
were
were around.
around, ab-
Hello.
yeah.
And then when you are around, he's already had all this freedom. He's not listening to you for real.
No.
He don't got no respect for y'all for real.
Yeah. And I mean, obviously he doesn't hold any resentment toward them, but it's almost like his parents are his Darren. Not around here. You don't know
You
me.
don't
You don't
know
know anything
exactly.
that's going on here. I do my own schedule. I make my own food, bad food. I make my own food. I live my own life. I literally have a life as a child.
Don't come in here trying to tell me left from right, who I can't have, where I can't go, and I'm supposed to just fall in the line. Are you stupid or crazy?
And that also makes me think, because you mentioned him living in Cork, but there's a moment in the first 20 oh, it's when they're driving him back home from the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
They're getting into Cork, and he's like, this is the first time I've ever been excited to be back here.
Hmm.
And all I thought was, well, maybe this is the first time you're excited to be back here because you spent like 7 years isolated and alone in a huge mansion. What child is going to like where they live if they're isolated and alone in a huge mansion? What the heck is wrong with you? Why would you move? He was in Dublin with at least your his dad,
Yeah.
because his dad is a barrister in London, not
Dublin.
Dublin, in Dublin. But now he's in Cork because you guys love Cork so much, but none of you are there in Cork. Of course he hates it there. Stupid.
We see that a lot with like only children,
Mm.
or like children who even like. what's the word I'm looking for? We see it a lot with children who exude hyper independence,
Yeah.
that their parents will be like, "Oh, they're good," and it's like, no,
No.
they're not
They're a
good.
child.
It's like they're that way because they have to be.
Yes, and also I'm so proud of you for wanting to tie your own shoes all the time and for wanting to feed yourself all the time.
Absolutely.
I still have to watch you. I
Yes.
still have to be there
And guide
when you're
you.
doing things.
Yeah. Well, that concludes our debrief of the first 20 chapters of
Keep
Keeping 13 by Miss Chloe Walsh. Stay tuned for our episode next week where we will be diving into the next 20 chapters and Keeping 13 by Miss Chloe Walsh.
Please make sure you like, comment, share, and subscribe. And see you at the next meeting, girlies.
Bye, girlie.
Bye, girlies.